this is the first ever live streaming on this channel, I'm gonna go over the retrospective of the 12th annual Halloween Horror Nights 12, hosted for the first time back then at Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. Before we get to that, I'm gonna make a quick announcement of what's been going on with me lately. So, I got from Amazon recently for $9. DC Rebirth, Volume 1, Batman, I Am Gotham. I'm sorry, the camera is ass backwards. You might have to go to a mirror to view this, but that's okay. So, without further ado, let's cue in the intro music for what I'll be talking about for this event. So that was my intro. Sorry for I apologize for the bad dancing, but I'm not really good at dancing, though. It wasn't really one of my strong suits in life, but alright, here we go. So, where we begin is that at Universal Islands of Adventure in 2002, it was something, Universal decided to host this particular Halloween Horror Nights event at the newly opened Islands of Adventure in 2002. Well, the HHN11 was hosted at Universal Studios Orlando, but this time they decided to host it at Islands of Adventure. So the icon for this event was originally going to be a girl named Cindy, but due to the child abductions in Florida in 2002 throughout the year, they decided to scrap the icon, and they had to come up with a new icon, which is her father, Dr. Albert King, aka the Caretaker. So the story for the Caretaker is that he was a mortician that worked in a Victorian-era mansion that he would turn his home into a morgue in a laboratory, and he would do these grotesque experiments on the homeless. He would invite them to his house, and then he would do all these weird operations on them, amputate them, and these monstrosities he would do to them. It was horrific. So 2 teenagers witnessed what was happening in the Kane mansion. So then an angry mob ensured, and they burned down the manor. And then while this happened, Albert Kane fled the scene. He escaped via the underground tunnels underneath his home in talented adventurer, and then he would spread his darkness throughout the island and the entire park, the whole different islands and such. And so we're off in the port of entry, or should I say, the port of evil. So then there was this projector screen that would that guests would walk through. They would show like this little video of the caretaker explaining what's happening during this Islands of Fear, of what to expect, the all the different scare zones and haunted houses and such. And this was like I said, this was at the Port of Evil, where the port of entry is located when you enter the park. And then he would show the different scare zones and haunted houses, like I said, like, you know, the Treeks and Foons in the Tood Lagoon, JP Extinction in Jurassic Park with the mutated half-man, half-dinosaur hybrids have run amok around the park and have escaped, created by a fictional character that wasn't in any of the Jurassic Park novels or movies, named Dr. Burton. And there was a Carnage from Marvel, which, as you can see at the beginning of my intro, dancing with the theme song I played was the Maximum Carnage theme for the SNES. Great game, but I never played it before because I don't have a Super Nintendo, but that's okay. So let's get to the scare zones and such, and the houses and whatever events that happened here. So let's start off with the least scariest. In the Seuss Landing, it was called Booville. Pun intended, huh? So in Booville, the story behind the scare zone is that Dr. Seuss's widowed wife, Audrey Giesel, refused Universal to put anything remotely scary in the area, so they listened to her, and what they did in Booville is that they turned off all the lights, and there was this fog. Weird music would play in the background. It's said that the Grinch has been wandering around the area, not jump scaring people, but just walking around calmly in a fashionable manner, because, you know, this is a kid-friendly area in Seuss Landing. There's nothing scary. There's nothing scary that's allowed to be there, so that's just that. It's just deserted because the Who's and the Whoville are hiding from the Grinch. That's the whole story behind Booville. And then let's get to the Lost Continent, aka which had been transformed by the Caretaker into the Island of Evil Souls, lived by some demon lord called Nightmare. And then he would hit him and his army of orcs and demons wielding chainsaws run amok the area, scaring guests. And then, well, in that area there was no haunted house, but right by Island of Evil Souls there was a dance, a rave area called Studio 666, where guests and scare actors supposedly danced together to upbeat rave music. And then let's head off to Jurassic Park in JP Extinction. This is located in the this is an outdoor pavilion, which this is the first time any of these Universal haunted houses during HHN has been held outdoor. And then so this particular house called Evolution was held in the Triceratops Discovery Center, where guests would enter like, you know, some sort of a creepy and dark laboratory where a scare actor playing Dr. Bird warning the guests that the dino men he has created have escaped and they're running amok in Jurassic Park. Oh, I forgot to mention the power has run out in Jurassic Park too. And in the scare zones, there's these bloodied scientists and dino men walking around the area. And then back in the house, They were walking around outside, outdoor pavilion, like I said, and and then there was an animatronic of the corpse of Dr. Burden. He is just hanging there, and then he's hanging there because his Dynamite abominations have hung him, and he's dead now, and he's kicking his legs. That's part of the that's what the animatronic stunt looks like for that. And so when the guests are navigating through the maze, they're jump scared by the Dynamite, and there was a scare actor hiding out in the bushes. He's dressed up as a velociraptor. He would like try to like lunge out, grab you, whatever he did. It's the velociraptor costume isn't really that exciting. It's just a guy standing there in the bushes. He's wearing a velociraptor head, and then he just lunges out on you, tries to grab you. So that was evolution, and let's go to wait a sec. Oh, sorry, I missed a house, and right by Seuss Landing, there was the main attraction of the entire event called the Scream House. It's the mansion of the Caretaker. He would, navigate through his mansion with these corpses that won't stay dead that try to attack guests throughout the mansion. So that was Scream House. And then, let's see, the Toon Lagoon has been taken over by the Treeks and Foons. So the Treeks and Foons are like these twisted, cartoonish, grotesque, like clown creatures that would hop around on springs and dance to this weird circus-sounding music. There was this giant machine that would have like all this bubbly suds come pouring out into the area. I wouldn't want to ruin my tennis shoes if I were there, but someone would probably be wearing flip-flop while going through the Treeks and Foons scare zone. And then the Toon Lagoon has characters like Popeye the Sailor Man, Dudley Do-Right. That's it's home to all the famous cartoon characters and comic strip characters in that area. And then the house there nearby the Popeye ride, the Popeye log ride, it was called Scary Tales 2. It was actually a sequel to Scary Tales, which was held at HHN 11 in 2001 and at Universal Studios Orlando. So Scary Tales was a well-received house, and then before I get to the other stuff, I want to talk about the shows happening real quick because it shouldn't take that long of a summary before I get to the most anticipated event to you HHN enthusiasts out there. You guys want me to talk about that was probably the most infamous part about this whole event of Islands of Fear. So the Bill and Ted show, the Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure was hosted there. You could feature characters like Gandalf, the Wizard from Lord of the Rings, Scooby-Doo, the Powerpuff Girls, even Dr. Evil and Mini-Me from Austin Powers was there. So that was the show for Bill and Ted's Halloween Adventure 2002. And then there's this right around the Port of Evil, where the Caretaker can be seen with some Victorian dressed scare actors. They would have these guests come up to volunteer, and they'd be like tortured to death, like electrocuted or have their heart ripped out. But don't worry, it's all fake. No one actually died. This is just part of the show. The heart is just a prop, not an actual human heart. That would be true. That would be totally effed up if they had that. So when I first stumbled across this event, I never knew about last year. The first thing I heard about this is that the infamous scare zone that occurred at Marvel Superhero Island is called Island Under Siege, and Island Under Siege was a very dark and alternate take on the Marvel universe, where the Caretaker had granted these powers to Carnage, one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. By the way, I got to here. Let me show you real quick. I got 2 copies of the first part of Maximum Carnage story arc, and I don't have the full series though, but I got the first 2 parts as a Christmas present to 2021. Good memories. So what happened during Island Under Siege is what I was saying is that the Caretaker had granted the ability to Carnage and other Marvel supervillains to overpower and kill the superheroes. And evidence of can be spotted all around the area, such as Thor's hammer lying in a crater, Captain America's blood-stained shield hung up above Doctor Doom's Fearfall Tower drop ride, and then there was Spider-Man's webbing was everywhere, and Iron Man's helmet had been stolen by a thief. And well, these aren't confirmed, but they were just rumors that people have cited over the years, because 2002, not everyone's phone, nobody had phones like how we have phones currently, because all the phones back in the early 2000s were just basically flip phones and then nothing else about it. And then the rumors of the dead superheroes have been speculated in the haunted maze in that area called Maximum Carnage, named after that comic book story arc I brought up, because makes perfect sense. It was all centered around Carnage and the other Marvel villains creating havoc around in the city. And there's also a bloody policeman and the scare actors that would walk around who have failed to control the area and possibly arrest any supervillains of criminals running around the area. There's not just Carnage, there was Mephisto the Demon, there's Crossbones, Captain America villain. There were several actors playing Crossbones in the area. He would usually go around, and then he would one of the actors would go around and they'd be wielding chainsaws, and then on these high towers and platforms, there's guys that are armed with flamethrowers that would shoot off, and then there was lasers being blasted at guests. They sound like the lasers from the Terminator film franchise. And then over the sinister and unsettling music being played in the background, Carnage would say, like, "I am Carnage, your new master. There is no hope. I am in control of everything. This city is mine. It's all mine." So then Carnage would be around, he would be standing on a platform, and they show like these arrows pointing to where the Maximum Carnage maze was at. And then and there was also fog in the smoke in the area too. And there was a clever touch to the diner in the Marvel Superhero Island. When it was dark out and nighttime, it was dusk, and then they would when it says diner, then they don't light up the N in the R, it makes it look like it says die on it. So then over to the Maximum Carnage maze, guests enter a warehouse filled with Carnage's henchmen and other villains, and they're coming out trying to attack guests while navigating through it. And there was a disorientating tunnel. There was a nuclear reactor, and then there was these barrels labeled gamma radiation, a reference to the Hulk. Because if you ever been to Islands of Adventure, there was the Incredible Hulk roller coaster. And well, if you're wondering where the house was at, the haunted house also known as the Carnage Warehouse, was located behind the Storm Force accelerator ride. And if you didn't know, the rides there, such as the Spider-Man ride, the Hulk roller coaster, and the Storm Force accelerator, still operated without any makeovers from the villain themes at all, but they still operated though, even though the superheroes were quote-unquote dead because of the storyline. And so what I've heard inside this maze is that there was a decapitated Spider-Man in the maze. There was a dead Captain America in the maze as well. And then at the end of the maze, in one of the maze videos I saw, because the park employees wouldn't allow guests to film anything there, but one guy was sneaky enough. He had a little footage of him going south of the maze, but it's so dark you can barely see anything. But at the very end of the video, what you can see is probably a tortured Wolverine strung up and suspended up high between columns, and he has his arms ripped off. I don't get who would villain would rip off his arms. I'm not really sure if he's really dead, but Wolverine is a mutant, by the way. He can probably survive some time with the two missing arms that were just ripped off of him. And so the controversy that comes into this is that Marvel was really pissed off about this scare zone and haunted house, is because of how the superheroes were depicted as dead and defeated. Is that they said that if kids came to see this, they would assume that their favorite and beloved superheroes were dead for real, and they would stop buying Marvel comic books, and which could possibly hurt their brand. And this was 3 years before they created the Marvel Zombies, in which Marvel learned that it's okay for them to be displayed as dead, but in that case, for Marvel Zombies, they're undead. And then, so after this event ended, Marvel Superhero Island has never gotten a scare zone or haunted house ever again because of the controversy with this. And but at least it won Scare Zone of the Year, and this was actually the first time a house like this won Scare Zone of the Year. But kudos to them for winning that award. And then, well, by the next year of HHN 13, Marvel Superhero Island became a toxic city. There were no supervillains or dead superheroes in the area, but it was just mutant zombies walking around infected by toxic waste, while these guys in hazmat suits tried to quarantine the area. And the only Marvel reference in this is that the toxic waste comes from Oscorp Industries, which is a nod to Spider-Man. And then so the proof of the dead superheroes is just, it could be just rumors, made up rumors, but they were never confirmed though. But it's just how things were back then. You weren't able to film or take pictures of anything, and that's it haunted houses, but it was just how they were back then. But nowadays at Universal you can. It's just how they were back then. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my retrospective of Halloween Horror Nights 12 Islands of Fear. And I wish all you guys a happy Halloween. Be safe out there, guys.